here, by computing this convolution, you find that indeed, by choosing h1 equal to delta of t plus t naught, we obtain an inverse system of the original h. Now, in the bottom, we have another example for the discrete time case. Okay, so here we assume that the impulse response h of n is equal to a unit step function. Right. So in this case, the output yn should be equal to the input convolved with the impulse response. Okay, so if you work this out, right, this should be summation xk h of n minus k from minus infinity to infinity. Right. Now, h here is the unit step function. Right. So suppose, right, you write this h as u, right? Then you know that this u is equal to 1 if n is greater or equal to k, and 0 if n is less than k. So when you're summing k from minus infinity to infinity, right, this would only be non-zero for k up to n. So this summation reduces to a summation from minus infinity up to n of xk. Okay. So for a system with impulse response equal to unit step function, the output will be equal to the accumulation of the input up to time n. Okay, and this system is often called the accumulator. So we looked at this example before, and before we showed that a possible inverse system to this is by taking the difference of the input in consecutive time instants. Okay. So in particular, the inverse system is something that looks like this, right? That has an output equal to the difference of the input at time n and n minus 1. Okay, so this you can also call the first difference operation. Okay, so the inverse to a accumulator is the first difference operation. Okay, so this system has a impulse response h sub 1 of n that is equal to delta n minus delta n minus 1, right? So this h sub 1 of n is what you get if you input x of n equal to delta, okay? Now you can check that this is indeed an inverse system to a system with, impulse response u. So you can check, right? If you take the convolution between h and h1, okay, h is un, and h1 is delta n minus delta n minus 1. So you can write this as un convolved with delta n minus un convolved with delta n minus 1. And this is equal to un minus un minus 1. By convolving a function with delta of n minus 1 shifts it by time 1. And the difference between these two then becomes a delta function at time 0.